BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And just a quick reminder, every Monday is Zodiac Mondays. Wednesday is an Ask Me Anything. That's an AMA, so please drop your questions below for things that you would like discussed here on the show. And Friday is an Anything Goes. Any subject is fair game, mostly talking about true crime, serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, but any subject is welcome. All right, so please share some ideas in the comment section about what you would like to hear about on this channel, and let's get started. Okay, hello everybody. Today is Monday, another Zodiac Monday. Welcome to the show. First, I would like to give a big thank you to everybody who listened to last week's Zodiac Monday about the Zodiac Killer and the new DNA discoveries. It was called, Do They Have the Zodiac Killer's DNA? And the overwhelming majority of that one was written by Mike Rodelli, author of In the Shadow of Mount Diablo and The Hunt for Zodiac. And in addition to the material here on this channel, I am also the host of AstroPsych 400, another YouTube channel, and it is the home of the podcast for sleep. On the weekend, I've been uploading the podcast for sleep. Some people were saying that they use BBOR as a way to fall asleep at night, so I thought, why not create something specifically designed to help people go to sleep at night? And you can hear that on the channel AstroPsych 400, and from time to time there will be a few episodes just about psychology or personality traits and so on that channel that will be popping up over the course of this year. And another great way to support the channel, in addition to just listening, is to go over to Amazon.com and have a look at the book Killer on a White Horse by me, Ned Dahan. It is a novel murder mystery inspired by the Zodiac Manson connection, but it is fictional. And there is always the Teespring page. Feel free to have a look at some of the merchandise. And remember, being weird is not a crime. Over the weekend, I guess it was actually perhaps on a Thursday or a Friday night, come to think. It's been so long ago that it has slipped my mind. But one of those days in recent times, I appeared on the Professor Dad channel, along with Ross from Planet X Filmworks, as well as Drew Beeson, and we were talking a lot about the Zodiac Killer, as well as just everything related to true crime, everything under the sun and in the darkness, a lot about D.B. Cooper in there as well, a roundtable discussion. And I finally had the opportunity to talk to Thomas Henry Horan, who's the author of The Myth of the Zodiac Killer, about a particular claim that he has made. And he proposed something in regards to the Zodiac ciphers. The Zodiac mailed 4 ciphers that have been officially confirmed, and there's some other ciphers that are included in unconfirmed letters that some people think may be authentic, or maybe they are not authentic. But the Zodiac wrote the Z408, the Z340, the Z32, and the Z13. The numbers mean the number of symbols that are in them. The Z408 was cracked very easily. It's a simple substitution cipher, minus the final line, which is often referred to as the Z18. And the final line just had a mash of letters like E and B and O and R, and perhaps there's some ways you can uncode that one. Some people think that that one might actually just be either a mistake on the part of the cryptographer, or it could just be genuine gibberish to keep people guessing until the end of time. But the 408 revealed, I like killing people because it's so much fun. It's more fun than hunting wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. Paraphrasing. And the 340 was solved about a year ago, more or less, maybe a year and a couple months ago, by David Ornchak, Ural Van Eyck, and Sam Blake, 3 researchers, as well as with the strong assistance from some pieces of technology. And that revealed a message similar to, I hope you're having lots of fun trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up an interesting point about me. I'm not afraid of the gas chamber. And the FBI has signed off on that solution to the 340 cipher. But in this episode, I wanted to talk about, what do the symbols mean and where do they come from? Because if someone is going to be creating a cipher, they don't have to use those particular symbols. How did this person choose to create the ciphers? And I finally had the opportunity to talk to Thomas Horan about a claim that he had made on his show, the Stones Unturned podcast, that the symbols in the Zodiac ciphers are of Filipino origin. Now, I've shared some of this on the channel before, but to tell a story once again, in terms of the Philippines, it's specifically from the region of Mindanao, because Thomas Horn's suspect for writing the ciphers, Hal Snook, served there in the military. And I decided, well, why not? I just sent the ciphers to somebody from Mindanao. And I said, hey, do you recognize any of this? And that person wrote back by saying, is this Italian? And I was like, no, it's supposed to be Filipino. I mean, Italian, I'm really not sure why. I mean, maybe the triangles remind somebody of pizza slices, but other than that, but I can't be too hard on the person. Send them the ciphers without any context provided, and there was just no recognition of any type. But that person did say, I don't recognize the symbols, but I know that it's a puzzle, or it has some type of hidden meaning like a code. And I said, well, how do you know that? And that person responded by saying that, well, there are lots of English letters that are written correctly, but there are also a lot that are written backwards. It looks like someone is trying to hide a particular meaning, and that is indeed true, because that's what the Zodiac Killer did with the ciphers. So I wanted to really find out what is the exact origin that Thomas Horn was talking about with the Filipino origin of the Zodiac symbols. And I've heard him say the name on his show a couple times about the language that was used in his theory to create this, but I couldn't make out what he was saying, and I thought he said Suborno. And I asked that same person, actually, who thought the ciphers were Italian, does the word Suborno mean anything to you in the Filipino languages? And they said, yeah, Suborno is a question. It means, is it flavorful in Tagalog? And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's what he was saying. And I finally heard that the word that he was saying was Cebuano, Cebuano, but the exact writing system of the ciphers is from the Eskaya language. And again, I decided to write to somebody from the Philippines and said, have you heard of the Eskaya language from Mindanao? And a different person, this is a different person I'm talking to, responded by saying, yes, I've heard of the Eskaya language, but it's not from Mindanao. It's from a place called Bohol, Bohol. And I just began to go online and I started looking up some different images of the Eskaya language of Bohol, and at first I was like, nope, absolutely not. I'm not seeing any recognition or anything that is similar at all to the ciphers and the symbols that were used by the Zodiac Killer. But I didn't only do one single Google search. I decided to keep searching, because from discussing the ciphers and the Filipino origin with people from the Philippines in the past, I learned that there are many, I repeat, many different Filipino writing scripts and systems. There's even one that looks a lot like the Arabic language. So I decided to just keep going through page after page of images, and I found one that looks a little bit more similar to the Zodiac ciphers. And as far as having letters forward and backward, I noticed that there was a very particular letter indeed, and that is the letter F. And somebody flat out addressed this to me. They called me out in the comment section and they said, hey, Ned from BlackBoxOnlineRadio, you don't know what you're talking about when you do things on the ciphers. You're not looking at the backwards letters. That's the key to everything. And later on, I got on ZodiacCiphers.com, which is run by Richard Cornell, one of the best Zodiac websites out there, all the information that he has compiled. And I believe that it's possible that in one solution to the Z32 cipher, the backwards F can actually represent the number 5. But let's look at this set of symbols here. A lot of them look like English letters, and then one looks like a backward F, and then another one looks like a modified backwards F, almost like a lowercase one. While it isn't perfect, it definitely does show some similarities and how certain symbols and English letters are blended together. But I also wanted to know, why didn't this set of symbols come up immediately? And I got an answer that was posted by somebody using the name Frederick VPA, and it says, this is based on the numerical symbols used by the Eskaya tribe of Bohol in the Philippines. Other letters and punctuation are not included in this font. This font was designed to write the date and time, and I think that is a very solid explanation. The ones on the top are numerical ones. In this one, the backwards F actually represents the number 3, and the thing that I call the backwards lowercase f represents the number 8. It's a little bit more squiggly than the Zodiac ciphers, but you can also see that there are these things at the bottom, and I think that relates to, like, that's what he's talking about with date and time. Like, when you would look at a date and time signature at the top of a page, or a timestamp, so to speak, if it were to be written out in a textual fashion, then you would use the symbols from the bottom. Fascinating all the same. I had never heard of Bohol in the Philippines either, but I would like to go to a piece of text that was written by Piers Kelly, just citing the source, and he says that the writing system of the Philippines and Eskaya was developed around 1920 to 1937, and it attempts to reconstruct the circumstances of its creation. Although the script is used for representing Visayan Cebuano, a widely used language in the southern Philippines, its privileged role is in the written reproduction of a constructed utopian language, referred to as Eskayan, or Bisayan Declarado, held to have been invented by the ancestral Pope Pinay. The Eskayan language and its script are used by approximately 550 people for restricted purposes in the southeast island of Bohol. I mean, I do see some similarity, and knowing that Eskaya really is very, very relative to a small number of people and a very, I'm tempted to use the word isolated area, but it is not widely used in the Philippines, and this these symbols that I was sharing in this way to write the date and time signatures and blending in English letters with other symbols, that this method of doing it would only be present in that area of the Philippines with 550 people. Also, this concept of creating a utopian language, I think, is rather interesting. Okay, this is just about addressing the Filipino origins of the ciphers, and that is not a widely accepted fact. Not everybody believes that they are of Filipino origin, but if you'd like to hear more about Hal Snook and the myth of the Zodiac Killer, then you can get the book of that name, Thomas Henry Horn's The Myth of the Zodiac Killer. His show is called the Stones Unturned podcast. He is the supporter of the Zodiac hoax theory, that there wasn't a single Zodiac Killer. Instead, there was somebody named Hal Snook who was writing letters taking credit for murders that he did not commit. It is a theory that is very heavily criticized by a lot of other Zodiac researchers, and most people believe that there was a single person who committed the Zodiac crimes from 1968 to 1969. And there are even other people who believe that there was a group of people who committed these crimes, but it was a calculated serial killer effort. It wasn't just someone writing letters taking credit for crimes that he did not commit. Now, some other possibilities on the origins of the ciphers. We should really address those. And I said I also spoke to Drew Beeson on that roundtable discussion on Professor Dad. Drew Beeson is the author of Sighting In on the Zodiac Killer, and his suspect is Donald Lee Cheney, who was the former friend of Arthur Lee Allen, the prime suspect in the Zodiac Killer mystery. But Drew Beeson put together a case promoting that Don Cheney could have indeed been the Zodiac. In his book, Sighting In on the Zodiac Killer, he talks about how Arthur Lee Allen could have been what's called the perfect patsy, where somebody thought of a way to commit a set of crimes, to be a serial killer, but he wouldn't get caught because he would blame someone who would look so much more guiltier, someone who would fit the criminal mold much more easily. And his suspect, Don Cheney, was a mechanical engineer, and in one of the first videos I ever watched on Drew Beeson's channel, Drew was showing how some of the symbols are very similar to the symbols that are used in mechanical engineering. And if we're going to talk about Zodiac suspects, the History Channel put out their show, Hunting the Zodiac, or whatever it was called. I was not a very big fan of that. Hosted by Sal and Ken Garvey Maines. And that one looked at Lawrence Kane as a Zodiac killer suspect. Really, they did a lot on Ross Sullivan and Lawrence Kane, and they proposed that these are symbols that could have been influenced by someone's time in the Navy, particularly with the discussion of Lawrence Kane, that he would have had familiarity with symbols that would have been somewhat similar, and then expanded upon them and created them with his own additions and his own alterations to make them look different and a little bit more complicated. With Lawrence Kane as a Zodiac killer suspect, I think that he is someone who is perhaps having an enormous amount of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or an enormous amount of being weird is not a crime, or indeed being a real criminal, just maybe not committing these exact crimes in 1968 and 69, as well as other unconfirmed crimes like the attempted abduction of Kathleen Johns or the disappearance of Donna Lass. I mean, Lawrence Kane was in the Bay Area and he was in Lake Tahoe, and Donna Lass disappeared from Lake Tahoe. Does that immediately make him guilty? No. But as far as the symbols, though, that is just another possibility that somebody else has proposed. And of course, there was a line from Randy Kenny when he said that the zodiac symbol, the circle with the cross going through it, is often thought of to be something connected to astrology, or some people think that it's the sight of a gun, like what someone would look through if they were using a scope. But he proposed that his Zodiac killer suspect, Louis Myers, created that in the tradition of a Celtic cross, and that he was using that because he was proud of his Celtic heritage, that the zodiac symbol wasn't even a zodiac symbol to begin with. I think that that claim is a little bit hard to defend, knowing that the zodiac symbol is seen on the Zodiac watch. Zodiac was a brand of wristwatch, and they even advertise on their website about how in 1968 and 69 the Zodiac took the world by storm, referring to the watches, but that's just some weird dark humor, I guess, from the Zodiac brand of wristwatches. But I would like to go back to that note about Lawrence Kane learning the symbols in the Navy. Many people will try and connect their Zodiac suspect to some experience that he had in the military, and even Thomas Henry Horan, who I was just talking about, does that as well, connecting his suspect Hal Snook to his time in the military. He adds an additional layer saying it was during his service in the Philippines and being exposed to these symbols in a part of the Philippines. He said Mindanao, but Bohol as well, no matter where you are, give or take a yard. But they try to provide the explanation that their suspect learned about coding because he was in the military, or that he learned about engineering and certain types of mechanical creations because he was in the military, and that this will only simply be, oh, this person served in Vietnam, or they served in World War II, or something like that. The Zodiac Killer also went on to create the bus bomb diagram, and that showed a certain amount of awareness when it came to technical creations, like being aware of technology, being aware of electronics, being aware of mechanics, things that the average person might not know how to possess, or like a knowledge set that the average person would not possess. But as of now, I would like to turn it over to you guys and ask, what do you think about the similarities in the zodiac symbols from the Eskayan language and the zodiac ciphers? Do you think that these symbols that are used in Eskaya, particularly the ones to write the date and time, are similar to the zodiac ciphers, or is there another set of that we have looked at that is more similar? Do you think that the zodiac symbols were not influenced by the Filipino languages, but instead by mechanics, engineering, technology, and that there is well, just that's it. And you must see this all the time. The circle with the cross going through it. Maybe it's on a cereal box or a can of Pringles. I even picked up a newspaper once that had a circle with a cross going through it. Like during every fold, every time the page would fold, there was a circle with a cross going through it. I mean, that symbol is used very, very frequently, but there are, of course, many other symbols used in the ciphers, and some of them are English letters, some of them are written backwards. What do you think about all that? What do you think about the Filipino origin? What do you think about the mechanical origin? Please weigh in the comment section down below. Put your ideas down there. I would love to read your comments and messages. Anybody can write the show at BlackBoxOnlineRadio at AOL.com. And you can also get me on Facebook. My personal Facebook is in the description box. And of course, there is Instagram, BlackBoxNed88. And I will see you guys over there for the bonus podcast. Until next time.